Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our journey in learning just a little bit more of this ancient language today. And yesterday we talked about 人民教师, which is the glorified by adding the title of 人民, which is the people. Often Chinese will say for the people by, American Constitution, right? Wait, is it an American Constitution? No, it's from Lincoln's speech. For the people, by the people, of the people. And the people, that concept is 人民 in Chinese. And here is try to glorify the public school teachers by adding the title of 人民 before that. And today we have 人 and 师. Again, in this phrase, 为人师表. It's a slightly different tone. Yesterday is 人民教师, is people's teacher. And this 人, same, of this R-looking sign, that's stylized 人. You can just see contemporary Chinese simplified into two strokes like that, as 人. And 师, it's this teaching position. It's surrounded, like teacher as if it's on top of this hill, surrounded by an army of students around it. So that's 师. That's how probably teaching used to be conducted. Teacher in the center, and then students surrounded, because probably people still learn by listening a lot. Wei, okay, we had this phrase a few episodes ago. It came from the farming of this raking of the land, or plowing through the land at the beginning cycle of a farming season, comes with the three-finger hand symbol, looking like that. That's the three-finger side view hand symbol. And then here is the plow, the device over there. And this is the result, the fine lines shows the result of after plowing, the earth is ready, not the earth, the soil is ready for farming. And that beginning action of the year in a farming activity is extracted to mean to achieve something or do something. It becomes abstract. You can weigh, like for anything. You don't just need to prepare the land. You can prepare anything. You can do anything, get anything done, basically. And so here, be person means to fulfill your I don't want to say destiny, but your full function or capacity as a person. So that's 为人. So be a person. Almost like in English currently, like be an adult. So something like that. There are certain expectations of how to be a person here, right? So that's what do we say? 为人. Behave like a grown-up, something like that. Okay. And 师表师, okay, so teaching right here means a teacher. Just by itself, it means teacher. 表, okay, 表 is the surface, the look. The surface came from this clothing sign. That's the clothing closure of the neckline back then, because the neckline in ancient Chinese clothing, there is no zippers or buttons. Those are the recent inventions. So the way clothes are put on is kind of a piece of garment, flat, and then you wrap around the body. Imagine kimono, okay, something like that. They preserved the old way of dressing. So a big piece of garment, and then they overlap, right? They wrap one layer on top of the other after wrapping around their neckline, kind of like that. And then side closure with buttons, with like rolled up little knots to button up on the side way. So that's the neckline depicted of the ancient clothing. And here could be the backside of the neckline, or it could be the hat. I mean, I would imagine either way, but in this context, it's probably more like the upper garment, the whole neckline. This is the front neckline, this is the back neckline, and to symbolize clothing. And here, this horizontal looking fluffy thing is a fur, is a simplified fur symbol. And because ancient times when people wear fur coat, they would face the fur outside. So when they wear fur, I mean, in today too, right? Like if you're wearing a fur coat, the furs will facing outside, and inside is the skin part, the smooth part, right? The fur is out facing. So eventually this out facing fur refers to the surface, the outside of the clothing. And from the outside of the clothing, the surface of the clothing, it extends to the surface of anything. It becomes abstract into this surface meaning. And from the surface, now we can use it, refer to appearance or the look of things just by the visual, like the first impression or what's hit on your eye, that's the look, the appearance, the surface. Okay, 为人师表 simply being you want to set an example to the students, the persons you're teaching, because you're teaching, you adopt a certain look as the teacher. So that's 为人师表, means you have the teacher's look. So, okay, on the top, this is a contemporary Chinese representation of how a teacher is supposed to look. Okay, it's a female figure. Okay, teaching as a profession in China, at least maybe in America too, is heavily female oriented or heavily gender unequal, right? Most of teachers are female. So that's stereotype. In a suit, in a shirt, white shirt, black suit, nothing wrong with that, professional look, right? With glasses is a have to gear to look like a teacher, right? Because you spend time learning, you study so hard in your lifetime that you already nearsighted. And so that's a kind of a sure sign to show that you're well learned because you are nearsighted. I mean, right? So that's in front of the board, kind of a gibberish icons, whatever that is. So this is a commercial photo shoot of what this 为人师表 supposed to look like. It's a female with glasses in clean suit, kind of a professional look, right? That's the ideal of a teacher's look. Okay, at the bottom, I form a contrast to non-glassed, a guy, and not really in a graceful, like doing this kind of posture. It's kind of doing this. And he is the best known teacher in China, all over China. And he made his name like at the beginning, on the onset of social media age, when students of his post videos of his lecture online. And he was a history subject teacher, teaching history. Okay, so for those of you who doesn't really know the Chinese educational system, history in a hierarchy, in a food chain, so to speak, order of subjects for Chinese students who are, whose livelihood, basically, at least they are taught to believe so, depends on their scores, right? That's why, I mean, Asian Americans here in America too, they are highly driven, score oriented. They want to perform really well in national standardized tests. So that's their mission. And on those tests, history is really, really low ranking subject. And it could be intentional, right? Because teaching history to people kind of would make people think. And make people thinking is probably not a function that the government wanted the teaching facilities or institutions in China, the public schools, to offer. Like, you just go through the drills of what's put in your head, more like utilitarian use of knowledge. Like STEM is a big, boosted subject. Teaching subjects in China, the whole category of math, physics, chemistry, biology, all that functional, usable, economy contributing factors, engineering or whatever. Those are the subjects that the top line of the food chain. And then, liberal arts, humanities, and history, they are really, really low ranking. So he, as a history teacher, really inject his enthusiasm about history and what we can learn from history, right? And the storytelling, like he is like stand-up comedian basically entertain his students so that he can retain the maximum attention from students who are already overstressed by the schoolworks of all that STEM subjects. Imagine that, right? So they kind of take a break on his class to enjoy a show, a free entertainment. This is the truest of info or edu entertainment, right? This is educational, put it in an entertainment form, that he becomes so entertaining and so well known that these videos in the early days, probably a decade earlier, caught on and caught the attention of the Chinese public who were not high school students, who has no obligation to learn history, to pass exams, who just enjoy his shows and to learn along the way, right? He really empowers knowledge and learning, especially in the history subject, to people, like as an entertainer, but also is a teacher. So he is the most well-known teacher in China. His name is Yuan Tongfei. He now, I think, doesn't hold the teaching positions anymore. He becomes more like an online influencer. But he still teaches. He's grounded on teaching history to students. And it's a knowledge gap to a lot of Chinese that there's a thirst, there's a market need for people over there to enrich their understanding of history. And he provides exactly that. And that I want to point out this contrastive look of this is the real teacher, the best teacher in China, best known at least, probably one of the most respected, because he's not only entertaining, he really teach you to think, and he bring not only like draw your attention, but the end purpose is to educate. So that's the true teacher in its truest sense, and not just for the look. And so here it's just for the look. And this phrase, teacher's look, is just for the look level. And there's such a phrase in Chinese that means there are such expectations of how a teacher should behave and look, right, on a surface level. But I want to point out, like, this is the best teacher, like, who doesn't really care about the look. He is so passionate in his speech that he's almost like an aggressive posture, right, to get a message across. So that's 为人师表, cashing into the continuum of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.